My girlfriend mocked me at a family barbecue, joking I'd be lucky if she didn't cheat. She reduced me to a joke in front of everyone, never realizing that very night quietly marked the moment I stopped protecting her lies. I, 31 male, am an operations manager for a major logistics company here in Phoenix. I make around $165,000 base plus bonuses. I own my house outright. I bought it cash after investing smart with some inheritance money. I drive a paid-off BMW. Basically, I'm doing pretty well for myself. Not trying to brag, but it's important for the story. I worked my butt off to get here. I grew up poor, like food stamps and eviction notices poor. Mom raised me and my sister alone after Dad bailed when I was 8. I spent my teens working part-time jobs and studying my rear end off to get scholarships. I put myself through college. I lived on ramen and determination. I graduated debt-free with a business degree. Every dollar I make, every nice thing I have, I earned through blood, sweat, and tears. 2 years ago, I met Brittany, 26 female, at some rooftop bar downtown. She was absolutely gorgeous, like Instagram model gorgeous. Long blonde hair, perfect body, knew how to dress. She was with some girlfriends celebrating something, and I was out with my CO workers after we closed a major contract. She started talking to me, and I was honestly surprised. Girls like her don't usually give guys like me a second look. I mean, I'm not ugly, but I'm not exactly male model material either. Average height, kind of lean, spend most of my time in spreadsheets and logistics meetings. But she seemed really interested. She asked about my work, laughed at my jokes, gave me her number without me even asking. Red flag number 1 that I completely missed. We started dating, and honestly, it was amazing at first. She was fun, spontaneous, always wanted to try new restaurants or go to cool events. She brought excitement into my pretty routine life. I work long hours and don't have much of a social life, so having someone who pushed me to get out more was great. She moved into my place after about 6 months. Another red flag I should have caught. She never offered to pay rent or utilities or anything. She just assumed I'd cover everything. When I mentioned splitting costs, she did this pouty thing and said, "But babe, you make so much more than me. It doesn't seem fair." She worked part-time at some boutique clothing store making $15 an hour. She claimed she was pursuing her passion in fashion design, but I never saw her actually design anything. Mostly, she spent her days shopping, getting her nails done, posting Instagram stories of her coffee cups. The spending started gradually. First, it was borrowing money for gas or groceries. Then it was bigger stuff. She needed a new laptop for her design work, $2,800. Her car needed repairs, $1,500. She had to have this designer purse for a job interview, $800. She always promised to pay me back, but somehow never did. I didn't mind at first because I genuinely cared about her and money wasn't tight for me. Plus, the relationship was incredible, and she made me feel like the coolest guy in the world. She'd brag to her friends about my job, show off the nice dinners I'd take her to, post pictures of the expensive gifts I'd buy her. Looking back, I realized I wasn't her boyfriend. I was her personal ATM with benefits. My family does this big annual barbecue every Labor Day weekend at my Uncle Rick's ranch outside the city. It's a huge deal. 3 generations, probably 40-plus people, massive smoker going all day, kids everywhere, the works. Uncle Rick is my mom's brother, retired Marine, who bought this 20-acre spread after he got out. Good man. Doesn't say much, but when he does, you listen. Brittany had been to the barbecue last year and charmed everyone. She was great at working a room, telling stories, making people laugh. My family loved her energy. My mom especially was always asking when I was going to propose, saying how perfect we were together. This year felt different, though. Brittany had been extra demanding lately. The week before the barbecue, she spent $400 on a new outfit to make a good impression on my family. Then she needed $200 for hair and makeup. When I pointed out she'd already made a good impression last year, she rolled her eyes and said, "Jake, you have to maintain these things. Your family has money." They notice details. Which was nonsense because my family is mostly middle-class working people. But whatever. The morning of the barbecue, she was in a weird mood. She kept checking her phone and giggling at texts. When I asked who she was talking to, she got defensive and said just the girls planning something fun for next weekend. Should have been red flag number about 50. We got to Uncle Rick's around noon and everything seemed normal. Brittany was her usual charming self, helping my aunt with setup, playing with my little cousins, working the crowd. I was on smoker duty with my dad and uncle, making sure the brisket and ribs were cooking right. Around 2 p.m., people were getting more relaxed and the conversations were flowing. Brittany was holding court with my female cousins on the back porch, talking about some reality show drama. The conversation turned to relationships and engagements. My cousin Emma had gotten engaged a few months back. That's when Emma asked the question that changed everything. "So Brittany, when's Jake going to put a ring on it?" Brittany laughed this loud fake laugh that made everyone look over. "Oh honey, I'm in no rush. I mean, Jake's sweet and all, but he's not exactly husband material, if you know what I mean." The porch went quiet. You could hear a pin drop. "He's more like training wheels," she continued, getting more animated. "Good practice for when I find someone who's actually going somewhere in life. I mean, he makes decent money now, but he has zero ambition. He'll be doing the same boring job forever while I want to live a little, you know?" I was standing about 15 feet away and heard every word. The barbecue tongs in my hand felt like they weighed 100 pounds, but she wasn't done. "Plus, between you and me," she lowered her voice. "But not enough. The bedroom situation is pretty vanilla. Like missionary position vanilla. I need a real man who knows how to handle a woman like me." My cousin Emma looked mortified. A couple of the other women looked uncomfortable and tried to change the subject. But Brittany was on a roll now, probably had gotten carried away with the attention. "Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. He pays for everything, never questions where I go or what I spend. It's like having a sugar daddy without the gross old guy part. But long term, please, I'm 26 and look like this." She gestured to herself. "I can do way better." That's when Uncle Rick appeared next to me. Dude moves like a ghost when he wants to. "You heard all that?" he asked quietly. I just nodded. I couldn't trust my voice right then. "Good. Now you know what you're dealing with. Question is, what are you going to do about it?" Uncle Rick and I walked away from the party down toward the pond on his property, where we couldn't be overheard. I was still holding those dang barbecue tongs, hands shaking with rage. "I want to go over there and dump her right in front of everyone," I told him. "No, you don't," Rick said calmly. That's what she'd expect. Drama, tears, big scene where she gets to be the victim. Then in 2 weeks, she's telling everyone how you couldn't handle her honesty and showed your true colors. He sat down on his old fishing chair and motioned for me to sit on the cooler next to him. "You know what your problem is, Jake? You're too nice. You see the best in people, even when they're showing you their worst. This girl just told your entire family that you're her personal piggy bank and a disappointment in the bedroom. And I guarantee you're sitting there making excuses for her in your head right now." He was right. Part of me was thinking maybe she didn't mean it, maybe I misunderstood. "Let me tell you something about people like her," Rick continued. "They don't respect kindness. They see it as weakness. They'll take and take until there's nothing left, then move on to the next mark. And right now, you're her mark. So what do? You get smart. You document everything. You protect yourself legally and financially. And then you show her what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness." Rick had been through a nasty divorce about 10 years back. His ex-wife had tried to take him for everything, claimed he was abusive, turned his own kids against him for a while. He'd learned the hard way how dirty people can play when money's involved. First thing Monday morning, you call your bank and open a new account. Don't close the old one, just stop putting money in it. Keep enough in there to cover bills, but move your main stash somewhere she can't access. I realized she had my debit card info, because I'd given it to her for emergencies. She'd been using it pretty regularly for those emergencies that always seem to involve Sephora or designer coffee. Second, you start documenting everything, every conversation, every expense, every time she shows her true colors. Keep records, screenshots. If she texts crazy stuff, you're going to need evidence later. Evidence for what? For when she tries to destroy you, which she will. Girls like that don't just quietly go away when the money train stops. They fight dirty. We sat there for a while watching the water. I could hear the party continuing behind us, laughter and music like nothing had happened. Brittany was probably still holding court, talking about whatever dramatic nonsense was on her mind. "There's something else," Rick said. "Something you need to understand about this situation." He pulled out his phone and showed me Brittany's Instagram page. "I don't follow her, but my daughter does. Look at this." He scrolled to a post from 2 days ago. It was Brittany at some fancy restaurant, dressed up, sitting across from some guy I didn't recognize. The caption said, "Amazing dinner at Le Bernardin with this incredible man. Life is full of surprises. Living my best life. Blessed." My stomach dropped. Le Bernardin was expensive as heck, like $300 per person expensive. She told me she was having a girls' night that evening. "There's more," Rick said, scrolling further. "Pictures from the past month. I saw her at expensive bars, fancy hotels, always with different guys. Designer clothes I knew she couldn't afford on her boutique salary, Captions about amazing dates and being treated like a queen. She's been playing the field nephew. You're not her boyfriend. You're her home base. The safe option she comes back to between adventures. Everything clicked into place. The late nights she claimed were work events. The new clothes and jewelry that appeared without explanation. The way she was always on her phone texting and giggling. The weird mood swings. I wasn't just being used financially. I was being played completely. I want to destroy her, I said, and I meant it. Good. But you do it smart. You do it legal. And you do it in a way that protects you from any blowback. Monday morning, I opened a new checking account at a completely different bank. I moved $25,000 out of my main account, leaving just enough to cover bills and make everything look normal. I set up direct deposit for my salary to go to the new account, starting with my next paycheck. It felt good to know she couldn't blow my money on overpriced lattes and designer nonsense anymore. The documenting part was easier than I expected, because Brittany was absolutely terrible at covering her tracks, like embarrassingly bad. Her Instagram posts were a treasure trove of evidence. I screenshot everything. The fancy dinners, expensive clothes, pictures with other guys. I started noticing patterns, too. She'd post about amazing dates every Tuesday and Thursday, which were supposedly her longest work days at the boutique. I called the boutique one Thursday afternoon around 2 p.m., pretending to be a customer looking for her. "Oh, Brittany? She only works weekends here," the girl who answered said. She's been part-time weekends only since like 6 months ago, so she'd been lying about her work schedule for half a year. Tuesday and Thursday weren't work days, they were date days. Her texting habits were sloppy, too. She'd always have her phone face down when I was around, but she'd leave it unattended when she was in the shower or doing her makeup. I started taking pictures of her message notifications when they popped up. "Can't wait for tonight, Daddy." From a contact listed as Tyler Investment Banking. "Thanks for the Cartier bracelet. You really know how to treat a girl right." To someone called David Tesla Guy. "Last night was incredible. When can we do it again?" To Brad Real Estate. She literally had these dudes listed by their professions like she was running some kind of sugar baby operation. The most damning evidence came from her laptop. She never logged out of anything and had all her passwords saved. I found her secret email account where she was basically coordinating multiple relationships. Emails to Tyler talking about how much she loved successful, ambitious men, and how tired she was of dating boys instead of men. Messages to David about how she deserved luxury and excitement and couldn't wait to upgrade her lifestyle. But the worst was an email to her friend Madison that laid out her entire strategy. "Jake is such a sucker, LOL. He pays for everything and never asks questions. I'm basically living for free while I find someone better. Found some real prospects on seeking arrangement. Guys with actual money who know how to treat a woman. Just have to be careful not to get caught before I'm ready to trade up. The plan is to string Jake along until I lock down someone with real wealth, then dump him and take whatever I can in the breakup. He's so naive he'll probably let me keep half his stuff just to avoid drama." Reading that made me physically sick. 2 years of my life, tens of thousands of dollars, genuine love and care, all just part of her strategy to find a bigger wallet. But I stayed calm, followed Uncle Rick's advice, and kept documenting everything. The financial abuse was extensive. I went through my credit card statements and bank records from the past year. She'd spent over $40,000 of my money on clothes, jewelry, spa treatments, expensive dinners, probably with other guys, and random stuff. She never contributed a penny to rent, utilities, groceries, or any actual living expenses. Meanwhile, she was stashing away the little money she did make. I found out she had a separate savings account with about $8,000 in it. Money she'd been saving while spending mine on everything. 2 weeks into my investigation, the new bank account setup paid off. I got a text from her while I was at work. "Babe, your card got declined at Nordstrom. Can you call the bank? I'm trying to buy something for my interview tomorrow." What interview? She hadn't mentioned any interview. I texted back, "Weird. I'll call them. What interview?" "Oh, just a potential freelance fashion consulting thing. Probably nothing, but want to look professional, you know." Another lie. I checked her email later and found the truth. She was interviewing to be someone's personal shopping assistant. Basically, a sugar baby position she'd found online. The interview was at some guy's penthouse. That evening, she tried my card again for a $300 dinner. When it declined, she came home frustrated. "Your bank is being so weird lately," she complained. "The card keeps getting declined for no reason." "That is weird," I said, playing dumb. "I'll call them tomorrow. Must be some kind of security thing." She was starting to panic because her lifestyle depended entirely on my money. Over the next week, I watched her scramble to maintain appearances while her access to funds dried up. She started asking me for cash, just until the card issue gets resolved. I gave her small amounts, just enough to keep her from getting too suspicious. Meanwhile, she was clearly trying to accelerate her timeline with other guys. The Instagram posts became more frequent and more desperate. Pictures at expensive places, with captions like, "When a real man knows how to treat you right, and some people understand luxury and some don't." Obvious shots at me while she auditioned for her next mark. But here's the thing about gold diggers. They're expensive to maintain. These guys she was seeing expected her to look perfect, dress expensive, be available for upscale dates. Without my money subsidizing her lifestyle, she couldn't keep up the image that attracted wealthy men in the first place. It was beautiful to watch it all fall apart. The breaking point came 3 weeks after the barbecue. She came home frustrated after another job interview that clearly hadn't gone well. "I need $2,000, she announced. "There's this networking event next week, and I need a proper dress and all the accessories. It's a huge opportunity." "$2,000? I asked. "For one outfit?" "Jake, you don't understand. These are important people. I can't show up looking like I shop at Target." I pretended to think about it. "That's a lot of money, Britt. Maybe we should talk about budgeting." "And budgeting?" She exploded. "Are you serious right now? I'm trying to build a career and you want to talk about budgeting? You make like $200,000 a year and you're worried about $2,000. There it was. The mask slipping. No more sweet girlfriend routine. "I work my butt off to contribute to this relationship," she continued. "I make this house a home. I support your boring social life. I put up with your family and your nerdy friends. The least you can do is invest in my future." "How exactly do you contribute?" I asked calmly. Wrong question, apparently. How do I contribute? Are you kidding me? I could be with any guy I want, Jake. Anyone. But I choose to be here with you, even though you're not exactly a catch. I bring beauty and excitement into your pathetic little life. Without me, you'd just be some lonely nerd playing video games every night. And there was the truth. Finally. "You're right," I said. "I think we need to have a serious conversation about our relationship." She must have heard something in my tone because her expression changed. "What do you mean?" "I mean, it's time we both stop pretending." I waited until the weekend for the big conversation. I made sure I had everything ready. All the screenshots, financial records, printed copies of her emails, the works, set up my laptop in the living room with everything organized in folders. Saturday morning, she slept until noon as usual. When she finally came downstairs, I was sitting at the kitchen table with coffee and my laptop. "Morning, babe," she said, still groggy. "What are you working on?" "Just going through some old files," I said. "Actually, I'm glad you're up. We need to talk." Something in my tone made her pay attention. She poured herself coffee and sat down across from me. "This sounds serious," she said, trying to keep it light. "It is. I've been doing some thinking about our relationship, about what you said at the barbecue." Her face went pale. "Jake, I didn't mean any of that stuff. I was just trying to sound cool in front of the girls. You know how it is. Actually, I think you meant every word. In fact, I think it was the most honest you've been since we met." I opened my laptop and turned it toward her. The first screenshot was her Instagram post from Les Bernardines with Mystery Man. "Want to explain this?" She stared at the screen for a long moment. I could practically see the wheels turning as she tried to figure out what story to tell. That's just a friend, a work contact. We were discussing potential opportunities at Les Bernardines. He insisted on somewhere nice. It was about business. Interesting. I clicked to the next screenshot. Her text to Tyler Investment Banking about not being able to wait for tonight. Her face went even paler. "Where did you get that?" "Your phone notifications. You really should be more careful about leaving it around." I clicked to the next one. The email to Madison about stringing me along while she found someone better. "Jake, I can explain." "No need. It's all pretty clear." I clicked through a few more screenshots. Dating multiple guys, taking their money, lying about work, planning to trade up when you find someone richer. She was quiet for a minute, then tried a different approach. "Okay, fine. Yes, I went on some dates, but we never talked about being exclusive. And yes, maybe I accepted some gifts, but that doesn't mean anything serious happened. Brittany, you've been living in my house rent-free for over a year. You have my credit card. We talk about marriage and future plans. What exactly did you think this relationship was? I thought it was casual fun. I didn't know you were getting so serious about everything. The gaslighting was incredible. acting like I was crazy for thinking we were in an actual relationship. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, closing the laptop. "You're going to pack your things and move out today." "What? Jake, come on, we can work this out. I made some mistakes, but..." "You didn't make mistakes. You ran a deliberate con for 2 years. You used me for money while shopping for someone better. This isn't fixable." She started crying. The tears looked real, but I didn't trust anything about her anymore. "Please don't do this. I love you. I know I screwed up, but I can change. We're good together." "We were never together. I was in a relationship. You were running a business. That's not fair. I do care about you. You care about my bank account. There's a difference." The tears stopped pretty quickly when she realized they weren't working. Her expression hardened. "Fine. You want to be a petty jerk about this? I want half of everything. I've been living here for a year, contributing to this household." "Contributing what exactly? You haven't paid a single bill. I've been providing emotional support, maintaining the home." "You mean spending my money and seeing other guys? We were never married. You can't just kick me out with nothing." "Actually, I can. It's my house, my name on the deed. You have no legal claim to anything here." That's when she really lost it. "You freaking loser. You think you're so smart. But you're just a pathetic little boy playing grown-up. I wasted 2 years of my life on you when I could have been with real men. There it is. The real Brittany. You want real? Here's real. You're mediocre in every possible way. Mediocre job, mediocre looks, mediocre in bed, mediocre life. I settled for you because I felt sorry for you. If I'm so mediocre, you should be thrilled to get away from me. I could destroy you, you know. I have dirt on you. I could make your life hell." "What dirt? That I pay my bills and don't cheat on my girlfriend?" She was scrambling now, trying any angle to regain control. "People at your work know me. I could tell them what a controlling freak you are. How you monitored my phone and invaded my privacy. Go ahead, show them these screenshots while you're at it." I stood up and opened the front door. "Your stuff will be packed and waiting on the porch by 6 p.m. After that, anything left behind gets donated. You can't do this. I need time to find a place. Should have thought of that before planning to trade up." She stomped upstairs, yelling about getting a lawyer and how I'd regret this. I started packing her stuff immediately. I didn't want her in my house any longer than necessary. By evening, everything was done. Her clothes, makeup, designer handbags, all bought with my money, weird decorative pillows she'd insisted on buying, everything in boxes on the porch. She showed up around 7 p.m. with Madison and another friend to collect it all. I watched from the window as they loaded her life into Madison's Honda Civic. Brittany kept looking at the house like she was waiting for me to come out and stop her. When I didn't, she marched up to the door and started pounding on it. "This isn't over, Jake. You think you can just use me and throw me away? I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are." I opened the door just long enough to hand her my house key, the one I'd given her months ago. "Thanks for returning my property," I said, and closed the door again. The first few weeks after Brittany moved out were honestly amazing. The house felt different, lighter somehow. No more drama, no more walking on eggshells, no more unexpected $500 charges on my credit card for essentials. But Brittany wasn't done trying to make my life miserable. It started with the social media campaign. She went full scorched earth on Instagram and Facebook, posting long rants about narcissistic abuse and how I'd financially controlled and manipulated her. She made herself out to be this poor victim who'd escaped a terrible situation. The posts got a lot of sympathy from people who didn't know the real story. Then she started contacting my coworkers, found their profiles on LinkedIn, and sent them messages about what a controlling monster I was. My boss called me into his office on a Friday afternoon. I thought I was about to get fired. "Jake, I got a very disturbing email yesterday from someone claiming to be your ex-girlfriend. She's making some serious accusations about your character." I showed him some of the screenshots, the emails about stringing me along, the Instagram posts with other guys, the texts about finding someone with real money. "Well, she picked the wrong target. I've worked with you for 3 years. I know what kind of person you are. But Jake, this could escalate. You need to protect yourself legally." I consulted with a legal professional about filing a harassment suit. The advice was to send Brittany a formal cease and desist letter. Make it clear that any further contact with me, my family, or my employer would result in legal action. That seemed to quiet things down for a few weeks. Then I found out what she'd really been up to. Madison reached out to me through Instagram. "Hey Jake, I know this is weird, but I thought you should know what's been happening with Brittany. She's been telling everyone you were abusive, but I was around enough to know that's nonsense. She's in some serious trouble now, and I think it's karma catching up. Turned out Brittany had been running actual scams on her other targets while using me as her home base. She convinced this one guy, David, to invest in her fashion design business. She got him to transfer $15,000 to her account for startup costs and inventory. Obviously, there was no business. Then there's Tyler, the investment banking guy. She borrowed his credit card for a family emergency and ran up $8,000 in charges before he canceled it. And Brad, the real estate guy, she talked him into paying for a business trip to New York for a fashion show that didn't exist. He bought her plane tickets, hotel, gave her spending money, the works. She just went shopping for a weekend and came back. The scams were getting more sophisticated too. She'd started creating fake websites and business documents to support her stories. She set up a whole fake fashion company with professional-looking marketing materials. The problem is these guys all know each other through business connections. When they started comparing notes, they realized they'd all been played by the same girl. David had filed fraud charges. Tyler was pursuing theft charges. Brad was suing her civilly for the money she'd stolen. She's looking at serious jail time, Jake. Like felony charges. Serious. She thinks you can help her, Madison continued. She's been telling people that you two are getting back together, that you realized you made a mistake and want to work things out. 2 days later, she proved Madison right. I was working from home when my doorbell rang around 10 a.m. I checked the security camera, and there she was, standing on my porch looking terrible, hair unwashed, wearing clothes I'd never seen before, dark circles under her eyes. She looked like she'd aged 5 years and 4 months. Jake, please, I know you're in there. I just want to talk. 5 minutes, that's all I need. I opened the door but left the security chain on. What do you want, Brittany? I want to apologize for everything. I know I messed up, and I want to make things right. Okay, you've apologized. Anything else? Can I come in, please? I've been going through a really hard time, and I need someone to talk to. I'm not your boyfriend anymore. I'm not your friend either. Find someone else to talk to. Jake, please. I know you're angry, but I'm in serious trouble here. I need help. What kind of trouble? She broke down crying then. Real tears this time, not the fake ones from our breakup conversation. I'm being charged with fraud, multiple felonies. I could go to prison for years. Maybe you should have thought about that before running cons on people. Wasn't like that. I was just trying to build a business, trying to make something of myself. Things got complicated, and maybe I made some bad decisions, but I never meant to hurt anyone. You meant to hurt me. No, I loved you, Jake. I still love you. I was confused and scared about commitment, but I never wanted to hurt you. The revisionist history was amazing. Now she loved me and was just confused about commitment. I've learned so much about myself these past few months, she continued, about what really matters. Money doesn't matter. Success doesn't matter. What matters is having someone who cares about you, someone loyal and kind and genuine, someone like you. Brittany, you literally called me mediocre in every possible way. You said you settled for me because you felt sorry for me. I was angry. I was lashing out because I was hurt. I didn't mean any of that. Yes, you did. And that's fine. We're not compatible. Find someone else. There is no one else. Do you think any decent guy is going to want me after all this? My reputation is destroyed. I have nothing left, and there it was. Not I realized I love you. Not I made a terrible mistake. Just I have nothing left. That's not my problem anymore. Please, Jake. I'm not asking you to take me back. I just need help getting through this legal stuff. Maybe you could write a character reference letter. Tell them I'm not usually like this, that I was going through a hard time, but I'm basically a good person. The audacity was breathtaking. She wanted me to help her avoid consequences for scamming people. You want me to lie to a court? Not lie, just explain that the person they're prosecuting isn't the real me, that I was lost and confused, but that's not who I really am. Accept it as who you really are. You ran cons on multiple guys while using me as your safety net. That's exactly who you are. I'll do anything to make it up to you. I'll pay back every penny I spent of your money. I'll work 3 jobs if I have to. You don't have 3 jobs. You don't have 1 job. I'll get jobs. I'll prove to you that I've changed. Even if you could pay me back, which you can't, it wouldn't change anything. You didn't just spend my money. You lied to me for 2 years. You cheated on me. You tried to destroy my reputation when I caught you. I was desperate. I wasn't thinking clearly. No, you were thinking very clearly. You planned everything out. You had strategies and backup plans. You knew exactly what you were doing. She was quiet for a minute, probably trying to think of a new angle. What if What if I could give you information about other guys? Guys who are doing the same kind of stuff I was. You could report them, be a hero or something. I don't want to be a hero. I want you to leave me alone. Jake, please, I'm begging you. I have nowhere else to turn. You're the only person who ever really cared about me. That's the problem. I did care about you, and you used that against me. I know, and I'm sorry, but we had something real, didn't we? Those weren't all fake feelings on my part. Honestly, I have no idea what was real and what was fake with you, and I don't care anymore. So, that's it. You're just going to let me go to prison? You're going to let you go to prison. This is all you're doing. I started to close the door, but she pressed against it. Wait, what if I made this worth your while? I know things about a lot of powerful men in this city. Rich guys who cheat on their wives, politicians who take bribes, businessmen who run shady deals. Information like that has to be worth something. Now she was trying to blackmail me into helping her blackmail other people. Goodbye, Brittany. I closed the door and locked it. She stood on the porch for another 10 minutes crying and pleading, but I didn't respond. Eventually she left. Last week I got a call from Madison with the final result. The karma train had reached its final destination. She took a plea deal, Madison told me. Plead guilty to 3 felony fraud charges. Got sentenced to 18 months in state prison plus 5 years probation. She has to pay back over $30,000 in restitution to the guys she scammed. 18 months behind bars. Part of me felt vindicated. Part of me just felt empty about the whole thing. The judge wasn't very sympathetic, Madison said. Apparently Brittany tried to claim she was the victim of financial abuse from previous relationships. And that's what drove her to crime. But the prosecution had all those Instagram posts and emails showing she was bragging about scamming guys. She's been trying to contact people from jail, Madison said. Called me collect a few times wanting to explain her side of things. I haven't accepted the calls. She wanted me to tell you that she's finally ready to be the person you deserved. That prison is going to change her, and when she gets out, she wants another chance. I actually laughed. She's in prison for fraud, and she still thinks I'm going to take her back. The delusion is real. She keeps saying you two had real love and that everything else was just her being scared of commitment. After we hung up, I sat in my living room thinking about the whole situation. 2.5 years ago, I'd been a lonely guy who thought he'd found the perfect girlfriend. Now she was in prison, and I was fine. Better than fine, actually. Uncle Rick was right that day at the barbecue. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is believe people when they show you who they really are. Brittany showed me she was a user, a liar, and a manipulator. I believed her, and I acted accordingly. She's got about 14 more months to think about her choices. Maybe she'll come out changed, maybe she won't. But either way, it won't be my problem.